Can we go back? That's my question.
What do you think,
Wow.
John? You think?
It has to begin in the home.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, and each one of us, as fathers or mothers, in your cases, have to lay down the rule.
Right.
Okay, and it's really tough in today's day and era because there's so much exposure to the children. Their friends in school all have iPods. They all have access to the internet.
Yes.
So you can't just put your child in a cubbyhole and expect them to have no exposure, because
That's
you're only
right.
fooling yourself.
That's right.
That
Yeah.
you answered that good, because that's what I was going to say. Now, okay, I have grandchildren and that are like 9 on up to 22, but my daughters that are raising them and my sons that are raising them, they're in another era, so they're going to say, "Mom,
Yeah.
you know what?
Get with the program.
Get with the program,"
Yeah.
because and you're right on that. So how do you balance this out? How would you balance it out? If I'm thinking back, if I was 30 now, that was just 2 years ago.
Again.
Again, yeah, 2 years ago again, and that was
That works.
That works for me. But anyway, if I think I would allow my child to dress, but I would supervise her dress. Now I know I wouldn't let her go overboard,
Right.
but I would want her not to feel out of place, because then you go into a whole different things with children feeling out of place. But
Yeah.
the media has made it where you can open a magazine, or not even and we were talking outside. Nowadays we were talking about how newspapers are on the internet, so the internet goes worldwide.
Yeah.
So again, like you say, the media, it's all about, and I hate to say this, greed, and who can get the best story, the best time, and sensationalize it to make you watch. But in the long run, it's hurting, and the law enforcement officers, they're having to deal with stuff that they had not had to deal with 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Even with children today in school.
Certainly. Well, you find that when you go into schools, many schools have search.
Yeah.
I know schools in New York, in the Bronx, where I was from, that you couldn't go into the school before you passed, the metal detectors. You had a search by the officers that are now in school, that now are peace officers. They can arrest you right on the spot. That's how bad it's gotten. I mean, in my day, which I might be dating myself, I'm a few years old. But I find that in my day, you could go to school and know that you could walk freely through the hallways.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't the teachers, it was the parents on patrol. But you can't find parents as helpful as they were back then.
I remember, John, as you talking about in school, I remember an incident that happened in school when I was in school to a young lady, and we're not going to, call the names of the young ladies, but like you said, and that was my first time being traumatized with actually seeing a fight break out and someone got hurt. Because this young lady actually got stabbed to death, because we were used to, when you had fights, back in our day, you fight with your hand, not with knives and things like this. And I mean, it was just, the kids egged it on. They egged the fight on until it got to that magnitude of taking that child's life. And the young lady that done it, right now today, the other one that, killed the other young lady, right now today, she's just, she's still living, but she's just not in her right mind like she were, when we were in school. Because I guess because it was her best friend. The young lady that she killed was literally her best friend.
You just said something, and I want to bring this up. She's not in her right mind. How much does food play into this? The types of food we eat. What has happened to the food industry? How are we not raising, how are we growing our food? Food has a lot to do with it.
Well,
I don't know, you want to take up on that?
I hear that, but what I was going to say too with the media, because we can get food, and I understand where you're going with that, because they're saying you too much sugar and different things, chemical react. But one thing, and I'm going to have to say this, the media also gives us good information. So I don't want to bash the media, although right now I think, and I don't want to. It's the media. Anybody can put anything they want basically on YouTube, and it goes around the world.
Right.
So when they see that someone has done something on YouTube, remember they used to have where they would use their cell phones and they would encourage kids to fight and they would post it on the YouTube. And I don't know whether they broke that up. I'm not sure on that because I don't know whether YouTube, they said they couldn't post it. I don't know the rules for YouTube on that. But they were encouraging the fights in the backyard, fights everywhere, and they would get so many hits on YouTube.
Wow.
I think it goes,
Wow.
I think personally, it goes back to what I said once before, that back in the 60s when what's that?
If it feels good, do it.
Yeah.
The 60s brought in a whole different spirit.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And it was at the turn of the war. After the World War II was over, life changed. Life just
and life
changed.
is still changing.
And it's still changing.
But it's changed to, and I know how we're going to end up with this, but it's changed to a very, we're going in a direction and of the whole world, not just America, in a bad direction. But but then I don't want to get into the prophetic prophecy of America and the world and all of that right at this time. But also like the media, the principles, I think. I mean, we're in media right now. We're on TV and
That's
we're on
right.
YouTube, and we go all over the world. And so I think when you have a responsibility, I think you and I talked about when you have a responsibility, you have to report new and accurate and good news. But like you said before, if it sells, if I can make it sell, sensationalize it, then I can sell
So
it.
we've become very greedy.
I think greed, and I think what it does too, I think it desensitizes us. And here's another thing too: the games that the children play. Some I think I've heard in the media is trying to ban some of them.
Yeah.